Cyrus Neshvad is a Luxembourg film director, and he has directed several short films, including The Orchid, Antoine, Sun, and Portraitist, to name a few. Now, collectively, these films have officially been selected in over 300 festivals, and over 30 of them Oscar qualifying. And The Portraitist qualified for the Oscars in 2020 and won 55 awards. Currently, Cyrus Neshvad is developing his first feature film, The Shelter, supported by the Film Fund Luxembourg. But we are here today to talk about his very moving and emotionally engaging, the Oscar-nominated short film, The Red Suitcase. So ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Oscar-nominated film director Cyrus Neshvad to the show. Welcome.
Hello, how are you?
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate you for being nominated for an Academy Award for The Red Suitcase. How does that feel?
Yeah, it's emotional because it's not just that it makes me happy to be nominated. It makes me happy that there is more visibility about what's really happening in Iran, and so it makes me proud that it's talked about now.
Yeah, I love the subject matter of The Red Suitcase. So what was the inspiration behind the film?
Basically, 2 years ago, I was chatting with my mother, and then she was connected with Iran. And so she just told me that women here and there, when they express too much their opinion and here and there, they're disappearing. So I said, wow, it was terrifying at the moment. But so a few days later, I decided that somebody should talk about it because, it was not known like today. And so as it was younger people who were expressing that, I decided to have a young girl with a hijab, and organically we decided to put her in this situation of airport, because airport is a place where you travel, we go holidays and so on, and actually she's trapped. So this was organically matched good together, and from there we began to write a polish script.
Well, why did you choose the subject of an arranged marriages?
There are a lot of topics, in Iran. If this hijab is on the woman, it means that the woman is not allowed to do anything with the consent of the husband, that the woman has no rights, that the woman is in the dominance of the man, that the man can have few wives, and so on. And so what was interesting in this topic, it's just not the arranged marriage, but it's also that the father, dominant man, gives his daughter to a dominant man who's also Iranian. So this was mattering me, that it's a domination of man near a child. So there are transactions between them. So it's more this, the domination of the man on the girl, who was for me very interesting.
Well, I was noticing that in the film, when the so-called future husband was on the phone talking to the young girl's father, and explain to all of us, in Iran, is money exchanged between father to future husband to pass the daughter over?
Yeah, it's some kind of gift. We call it a gift. So the future husband said, I give you this as a gift, yeah. And yeah, it's happening. I mean, but what was very interesting, that this amount in abroad has no value, because she was exchanging this money, and we see that the value is not a lot. So it shows also that Iran is a country where the value is down. It's like a body where there is a virus in it, so nothing is worthful anymore.
Well, how has your film been received by the Iranian community?
Yeah, the Iranian community here abroad, they were they thought it was a visionary, that somebody is pointing this out, and today it's happening, and the people from Iran, I mean, it's dangerous to send them and they will watch and they will have problems, so I cannot tell you that how they will react. But for now, I will not be happy if my family in Iran because I have family in Iran, and that sending them a link to watch the movie. So if it's intercepted, what will happen to them? You know. Just to tell you that it's quite risky even here, because the main actor, the father who's playing the not the father, the future husband, is Iranian, and we had a Q&A. He was invited, and at the last moment he said, look, I cannot, because it is what I will say was circulated perhaps a lifetime on internet, and I have family in Iran, I have this, I have that, for me it's dangerous. So he declined to come, and so we did a Q&A with the scriptwriter and the girl. So but it's there, it's a danger there, but
Now, for you, you were born in Iran. How were you able to leave?
So yeah, the just before the revolution, my parents felt that we have to leave, so they booked a ticket for the plane, and we came with a taxi to leave. And when we came to in front of the airport, we saw it was closed. So we went to, I mean, they told me later, but I was very small. My father said, yeah, and we went to see some kind of policeman there. He was frightened. He saw in his eyes that this guy was frightened. So I said, where is the plane? He said, nothing is there anymore. It's nothing working anymore. So we were there running here and there and so on. And they told me also later that there was buses organized, and all the bus left around. And the last bus which was leaving, we jumped inside and we could leave with the last bus. And when we passed the border, they closed the borders. When the borders were closed, and bombs were falling. And I remember I was very small when we were driving and we saw the bombs falling. I thought, wow, it's so beautiful, fireworks. I didn't know. Now it's I just was thinking, wow, these fireworks are really beautiful.
Well, was this the revolution in
Yeah,
1979 for the
exactly.
overthrow of the Shah of Iran?
Yeah, yeah. And I can tell you, if this border would have shut down, we would have been killed. So sometimes things are really, happening with,
So
because
what was so I know you were a small child at that time. What was life like in Iran before the revolution compared to what life is right now?
I think that we had a total normal life, because I remember hijab, headscarf. I never knew this. We were growing up. My mother was in skirt. I remember I was in school, very very small, and yeah, it was. We didn't have all this during the Shah. We were just like European countries, and actually the Shah was building everything up, and the country was also very rich. Everything for us was nice. I mean, it was no difference with Europe. And it's so funny, with the blink of an eye, everything changed.
And basically set the country back 1,000 years.
Exactly. It's, as I said, we had a country which was healthy, beautiful, everything, and it got a virus, and the virus growing and making disability about this country. And now we need the antidote, to put the virus down. And when the virus is gone, we will have a very, very beautiful country. That I'm sure about that. So and that's what the young generation in Iran are doing. All this young generation, they are on the streets because they want to kill this virus. So what they are doing, they're just walking. And while they are walking, they are being killed. And I really so happy about this young generation between 20 and 30 or something like this. They are not scared. They don't accept that future. They say, if this is the future, then better die. But the older generation, they're a bit scared. They say, look, I have a house. I have my TV. I have my car. Why I should go.
I completely that I understand. Even here in America, the comfort zone is too big. It's very deep. People are set in their ways. They don't have the ability to rise up, and I think even our own government sees that and is starting to take advantage of that. But I know that around the world, a lot of people are seeing the uprising of the young people in Iran, and yes, they are the ones that want to bring that positive change back to what it was prior to 1979. And do you think your film will have an impact maybe not those in Iran, but those outside the country to see the different customs that go on. Basically, maybe taking, where women in Iran don't have rights. And they want to be just as free as those in Europe and those in America.
Yeah. You should just know, when I wrote this script, it was 2000, back then 2020. So all this was not so actuality. And that time I said, I want to do something, at least, even if it's a short movie. So during the process of finishing the movie, somehow the actuality also changed, and it came connect to the actuality I was giving. So somehow I have the feeling that people know already now. And if I had to do the movie today, I would have probably preferred to do another movie, because everything is known now. But now the movie is here, and any small help it can do, because the help is doing now, because I can talk about it. The more visibility this movie get, the better it is, the more help it can bring now. So that's the good point about it, the
Oh,
visibility.
absolutely. And, Cyrus, when I was watching the film, and ladies and gentlemen, this film is called The Red Suitcase, and it is a must-see film. And as I was following along with the story of the young girl at the airport, and to see all her emotions, to see the fear, to see the unknown in her eyes, and not wanting to be a part of this arranged marriage. I can sense that even the location, even though it was a European airport, I can see the same fear and emotion in a young Iranian girl, as if she's in Iran trying to escape to a better life. It's just that the location is different. But it's a beautiful film and a very, very powerful message to the rest of the world. I mean, it had me cheering on this young teenage girl to make it out of that airport by herself. And I think really the only thing that got to me is that she lost her suitcase. And was there a meaning behind all of that?
Yeah, so the beginning of the movie, I wanted that the suitcase, what is inside, should be her heart. So that's why I choose the red color, because I wanted that we express her heart. So when I was directing the girl, I was always telling that whenever you can, you have to keep it like this. That it should be your heart, that you feel that it's your heart. So most of the time, she was also putting like this. And when you install this red and this heart, so at the end, when the guy is taking this, it's ripping the heart out. And just one small technical details, I'd never want to talk about this because it's not bring the audience. But when the luggage is taken away and she's in front, and the luggage is the back. For me, to show that it's really connected, it should not be unsharp somewhere. I wanted a long focal, but no unsharpness. So we had to put the split dioptry to put the sharp on both sides. So I could put my camera here. The background is sharp. The front line is sharp. So it makes that this heart of the girl is more connected. So if the background was not unsharp, it would not give the same power for me in this shot. So I put the split dioptry.
I completely agree with that. Now, what process did you go to cast this young girl?
Yeah, so I was searching in Luxembourg, and I was not so happy. Some people were speaking Persian, but the playing was, not what I really searched. So I decided to go abroad, and I found a casting director in France. And there, actually, we got 15 girls to see. And I found on Nawal Evad, and actually beginning we talk a bit. She was Maghrebian, and she had this descendants of this family traditions and so on, and she loved art and so on. Already what she was interesting. I said, okay, it can be interesting, but perhaps she will play bad. And then I put her in this moment. She has to take this hijab up, and when she did this, and she had this fear in her eyes because of her background. And I had the feeling she was not playing the role. Actually, she was living this girl's moment. And I said, it's good, it's you. And then the rest was just rehearsal and work. But in the casting, it was this what changed my mind.
You know, you bring up a very powerful moment in your film where she does take the hijab off. And as I'm sitting there watching the film, and the moment she took it off, and you bring up a very good point, because my thought was, does she know what freedom feels like? But for that moment, I would understand the fear, the uncertainty, and you've probably talked to a lot of teenage girls or young women who have been able to leave, maybe some who have been able to leave Iran. And what is that actual moment like to take that hijab off and look around and see that you are part of the society that you are to live? I mean, is it a cross between freedom and fear at the same time?
So first of all, the fact that she will take off, I will tell what I feel about this. But I don't think at that moment it's fear, but it's I don't want to go to this man, or I have to move, or I have to go with him and sleep with him, whatever it is. So she just knew she doesn't want to go with him, and she said, "Yeah, if I take it off, perhaps he will not recognize me." It's more about I take my decision in my hands, my free will. It's not more scareness. It's I take my destiny in my hands, and so it's coming the moment when she's taking it off. It means that I will not let you do this. And this is taking off. It means we are not accepting, we as a woman are not accepting the traditions with the domination of men, that the woman need the consent, all this stuff which is in this hijab. And I wanted, when she is doing this, that it should be an invitation of all the women around the world. So I told my actress, Nevan, watch in the lens of the camera. Because if you watch in the lens of the cameras, you're watching the audience. If you watch the audience, you are inviting everybody to follow what you are doing. So that was the basic work I did with her in that moment.
And again, your work was absolutely brilliant in filming this short film, and a very, very powerful story. For all of my viewers out there and even the listeners, what is the penalty for an Iranian woman to take off her hijab in public?
Death.
Death.
In the worst case, death. In the best case is how you call it? When they fouette,
Yeah.
they take your back off and they put
Yes, the
how you
whipping.
call it, whipping. And it depends, you can get 50, 100, 150, and so on and so on, so till your back is bleeding. But this is the best case. The worst case, you're disappearing. So,
Ladies and gentlemen, if you live in Europe, if you live in America, you need to be very appreciative of the freedom that you have. There are countries on our planet that still, and Cyrus, you can correct me here, but still live in the dark ages
yeah,
and
so
bringing
that's
fear upon the
yeah,
people.
yeah, I'm sorry, that's what I want to contradict you.
Okay, please.
Yeah, because I worked in this script with my French script doctor. He said perhaps it's not that brutal here, but it's existing. So it's better in this movie that we incorporate that the harm which is to the woman, it's also existing abroad. For this, actually, that's why we put all these posters around the airport, all these commercials of selling. What are our society selling? Bags. But how are we selling these bags? By using the naked leg of a woman. How are we selling the pizza? By using the mouth of the woman. How are we selling the champagne? By using the decollete. So we are misusing the sexuality of a woman to sell things. And behind these smiles, they have these beautiful smiles. If you go closer to them, perhaps you see that they are not so happy that they let you think. And that's the last shot of the movie. We are coming to a publicity for shampoo. We are going close to this girl, which is looking so beautiful and so happy, but we are very, very close. We are a bit frightened with her because she's not happy, she's frightened.
Yes, and with the last shot of the film, you explain that in a way that I did not see that, and it is true. Again, a very powerful film, and I was kind of wondering on the way that you did film this. How did you arrange to find an empty airport terminal in Luxembourg?
So we came in the evening late, so already less people, and it was very important to have big spaces, because the bigger the spaces are surrounded by this happy woman on the wall and so on, the more we show the loneliness of the girl. So that's why I use also this anamorphic lens to have more big spaces, because as I said, the more the space is big, the more we feel the loneliness of the girl, and it's the only reason.
And you did that very, very well. Now, is this the first film that you have been nominated for an Oscar?
Yes, with Portraitist, we end up in the first round.
And and how many times have you been Oscar shortlisted?
The first time.
Really? Wow! What an incredible honor! And are you going to be flying to the Oscars this year to hopefully
Yes,
to see it in person?
Yeah, we have. Yeah, if you are there, I would be glad to meet you in person also. Yeah, but I have to come there and to be behind the movie. Yeah.
Well, it is a fabulous film, ladies and gentlemen. The Red Suitcase by Cyrus Neshvad is a very powerful, very moving, very emotionally engaging film. And it's amazing, Cyrus, that this film comes out at the exact same time as the Iranian uprising. Are you surprised by the coincidence?
Yeah, I was quite surprised. Yeah, and somehow also happy, because before I was telling, look, I have it all in me, and nobody knows this, And when you are somehow relieved when you see that everybody knows, you feel more relieved, that you say, okay, it's not just in me now, and everybody knows about it, and you feel better, that because the whole Europe, the whole world has this empathy now for Iran.
Yes, and are you surprised by the support outside of Iran for the Iranian people?
When a woman dies, and it's been said around how brutal this girl in Iran, because the beginning of this dying girl, she was just killed because her hijab went till here, so a few hair came out. They brought her in the police and they hit her, to punish her, and she died because she was just 19. So the most important thing is that this news came out, because if this news is not coming out, I mean, because nobody will talk about this, so it's forgotten. And that was my stuff, that I wanted to do a movie to say, look, it's happening. Yeah. But when some people talk about this, it's coming out, the world is not cruel. The world are empathic people, and they hear about what happened to this girl. So slowly everybody is against it, because the world are full of good people. And when all these people hear it, they will not stay there and say, it's not my problem. No, they all began, not just Iranian, all the European, American, everywhere that people has this empathy, came out and fought for it. And that's very beautiful, because that shows that this world is keeping together in the diversity.
Yeah, amen to that, Cyrus. And we are definitely standing in agreement with the Iranian people to rise up. And you said earlier, it is the young people. They're no longer afraid, because they understand that it's time, and we support them. We support them. Now, tell us about
especially
go ahead.
the Iranian people, and especially the Iranian woman, because they have the less right.
Yes, indeed, indeed. Well, tell us about this feature film that you're working on called The Shelter.
Yeah, so I didn't want to talk about The Shelter, but I have another one which is also there. It's actually, the logline is about a 6-year-old boy who is leaving the Iranian Revolution with the mother, and they find shelter in Luxembourg in a camp. And in this camp, this boy meets an old woman from Russia who also shelter in this camp, and it's about their friendship. And it's really interesting because these two, they don't speak the same language, and how they find the way to communicate. And it's really interesting for me to bring this out, because it's bringing a lot of things out when people cannot talk with a language, which
So
also I
oh no,
sorry,
go ahead.
which also I used also in the Red Suitcase, that we don't have so many dialogues, but we can say a lot of things without dialogues. So, and that's very interesting between these two characters in this future movie, which we are writing right now.
And that is something that I noticed in the film The Red Suitcase. There was not a whole lot of dialogue, but because of your camera work telling the story, we still, as a viewer, felt the incredible emotion throughout that film. So again, your work is brilliant.
Yeah, but in usual life, people are not so much talking. It's happening in different things than talking. That was the first reason. But the second reason is that she cannot talk the language. If she talks, nobody will understand. So, and what is more interesting even, that she cannot talk in a country, Luxembourg, where they speak several languages. You know, this paroxysm about all this.
Wow. So what is next for Cyrus Neshvad?
I book my ticket and I come to you.
Well, good luck at the Academy Awards, and we will be cheering you on, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, and Cyrus, let me ask you something. Where can everyone see the film, The Red Suitcase?
Sorry, what?
Where can everyone watch The Red Suitcase?
But for the voters, it's on the Academy platform. And for everybody who's interested, if he can go through you, I can send the link and with the password. So even people who are not voter, they can watch it. Because I said the most important for me is the visibility, that people can feel this. So whoever is interested, if he's going through you and you can just forward me the image, I will send the link with the password. And it will be an honor for me that people would be interested to watch it.
Well, I know that they will be interested once they see this interview, because again, you have created a very powerful moving film. Ladies and gentlemen, Cyrus Neshvad with The Red Suitcase, nominated for an Academy Award at this year's Oscar. Again, thank you for so much for sharing us with your time and your film.
Thank you so much for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned, because we will be right back with more.
خونه ما دوره دوره پشت کوها یه صبوره پشت دشتا یه تلایی پشت صحرا های خالی خونه ماست اونور آب اونور موجای بیتا پشت جنگلای